Good afternoon, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and I've got a detailed update here on Tropical Cyclone Maila and its potential impacts that it could have after this coming weekend along the North Queensland coastline. Areas between Cairns up to the Torres Strait are currently under the gun here from Tropical Cyclone Maila, which is still at Category 5 status, mind you. This could be a very significant tropical cyclone impact just a couple of weeks after Tropical Cyclone Narelle decimated parts of the far North Queensland Cape York Peninsula. If you are brand new to my channel and you're enjoying the update so far, then please do consider clicking the subscribe button and also leave a like on the video while straight. It's getting us closer to the 100,000 goal by the end of the year, but let's just get stuck straight into the details right now. There's so much to talk about with this system. Yes, it has weakened a little bit from this morning, and you can see the structure is beginning to erode on this tropical cyclone for a couple of reasons. The easterly wind shear has picked up again, which is why we're seeing a lot of the deeper thunderstorm activity highlighted in those more intense colours being pushed off towards the west of the tropical cyclone, and you can see that eye has begun to collapse and shrink, and that's a sign of either an eyewall replacement cycle or an increase in deep layer wind shear. This is not a healthy looking tropical cyclone, especially when you're talking about a system that's rated as a Category 5 here. This is quite a poor example of a Category 5 tropical cyclone, and the reason for that is because it stayed in the same spot for the last couple of days. It sapped all of the energy from this environment that it possibly can take whilst bringing severe weather to the Solomon Islands, but because this system is about to get itself going off towards the northwest and then the west and then down towards the southwest, eventually towards Queensland, it is going to encounter some better conditions ahead of this tropical cyclone here, some warmer sea surface temperatures, some lower wind shear and some higher humidity, and just a generally more favourable environment for this storm to continue intensifying. And I imagine this weakening phase that we're seeing right now will be pretty short term. It's going to get down to maybe Category 3 or low end Category 4 status, and then it looks like it's going to level out from that point onwards, but there is still a bit of uncertainty. Conditions are kind of oscillating between favourable and unfavourable throughout the remainder of the storm's life, tending favourable as we get closer to Queensland, as we'll talk about in just a few moments. Let's just touch on that forecast right now. There is a very big risk still to parts of the Solomon Islands and also parts of Papua New Guinea, particularly on the southeastern Cape of Papua New Guinea and a couple of the adjacent islands down around Bagwoia, which is expecting a direct hit here from Tropical Cyclone Maila in about 3 days' time. You can see coming through Friday night into Saturday morning. I would just like to say that the ECMWF forecast model, which we're looking at right now, is vastly different compared to other forecast models such as the GFS. The GFS has done reasonably well with this tropical cyclone so far, but it is initializing it just far too strong, and as a result, this system here is not being accurately represented by the GFS forecast model. And I believe that this track here being a little bit too dramatic on the weakening front and a little bit too far towards the north as well. But it does highlight quite nicely that if we see any interaction with Papua New Guinea and the Owen Stanley Ranges through here, we'll have a dramatically weaker tropical cyclone going into the Coral Sea. Not really a problem for the tropical cyclone, considering either way you cut it, it'll have enough time to intensify, but it is an interesting part of the forecast, and it could be the difference between a Category 2 Cape York Peninsula crossing and a Category 4 Cape York Peninsula crossing, for example. Again, all those details will iron out throughout the course of this update, so stick around. The ECMWF is a little bit further towards the south and subsequently away from Papua New Guinea, a little bit stronger. We're probably talking about a Category 3 strength passage through here, entering into the northern parts of the Coral Sea sometime on Friday or into early Saturday as a Category 3 strength severe tropical cyclone. This has been pushing the landfall back. Considering we've seen a very slow motion through the Solomon Islands in the last couple of days, this kept pushing that landfall time back on far northern Queensland, and you can see there is a pretty good consensus now between major forecast models. I mean, we just need to throw the GFS into the garbage because it's not initializing this system properly, but the ECMWF, the Icon forecast model, and the Access forecast model are all expecting the system to move generally towards the Queensland coastline and cross the coast either late on Sunday or now into early Monday morning, and I believe that's kind of going to be kind of our crunch time, late Sunday, early Monday. Still, because of those weak steering influences, say the system is here Saturday morning, and then we're looking at Monday morning at crossing into far northern Queensland. That gives it at least 36 hours of great conditions ahead of it for it to be able to re-intensify, reorganize itself, and clear out another eye. And as we saw with this tropical cyclone, considering the conditions that this system will have at its disposal, a very favourable environment means that rapid intensification is likely, and the system will likely not have a problem in terms of intensifying and strengthening out in the northern parts of the Coral Sea, which is why I've got all my question marks around the GFS forecast up here. Even though it does clip the southeastern corner of Papua New Guinea, it'll still have 2 days before landfall, which is more than enough time for the system to reorganize, re-strengthen, restructure, and come ashore as a severe tropical cyclone. And that's the consensus that BoM are rolling with right now, that this will approach the coast late on Sunday or early Monday as a severe tropical cyclone. But where is that going to be? That's the big question right now, the $1 million question, if you'd like. We were initially thinking up around Lockhart River, and that's when those ridges towards towards the south over central Queensland in the mid-levels were a little bit stronger and dominant, and they would work to push the tropical cyclone a little bit more on a westerly course, but they've since kind of fractured, and we'll talk about those in a hot second. But that fracturing of the ridge has allowed this system to slide a little bit further towards the south, and given its more prolonged time over the waters, there is going to be that fine line that this system might walk where it's able to sink far enough south and intensify it substantially enough as to where it's going to be a really big problem for the Daintree rainforest, the Cassowary coast, and potentially even the Cairns area as well. The consensus right now from BoM is a landfall just south of Cairns, so in a very similar area to where Tropical Cyclone Narelle made landfall, about 50 k's towards the south in the Princess Charlotte Bay area. That would throw any area north of Cooktown within the destructive wind core of the tropical cyclone. I believe that this right now is probably our best bet, but this is very likely to change. It could jog north, it could jog south, but at this point in time, that's the best consensus that we have. An eclectic mix of the forecast models, our numerical and our Deepmind models, suggests that an area just south of Cairns right now is going to be ground zero, but again, it could slide south. And recent forecast runs, you can see here the axis taking the tropical cyclone early on Monday morning just north of Cooktown, so right over the top of Lizard Island. The ECMWF forecast model is taking the system late on Monday, early into Tuesday, into the Cassowary coast on a very similar track to what Tropical Cyclone Larry took just over 20 years ago now. So this is actually south of Cairns. This is a recent trend, and what we look for in tropical meteorology, and basically any meteorology forecasts in general, is forecast model trends. When we start to see a track trend develop, which is in this case here, a couple of days ago, we're looking at a trend into Lockhart River. This has since sunk down towards the south over the last 24 hours. This new trend is supported by other forecast models as well, not just the ECMWF, which drags that most likely track scenario further towards the south. It is why we're now expecting that landfall around Lizard Island or north of Cooktown around the Cohen area, for example. And given the current trend of the forecast models, it's likely that this best track might sink further towards the south still. But what does this all mean for far northern Queensland? You've heard me say this time and time again over the previous couple of days, but right now it doesn't mean anything. We're still looking at a system here potentially coming through 5 days in advance here late on Sunday or early Monday if you're a believer of the Access or the Icon or the GFS and the Deepmind models, or if you're a believer of the ECMWF, which has proven to be one of the most reliable numerical models that we have at our disposal. You've got 6 days before this system comes ashore. That's a lot of time for the details to be still ironed out. This is not an imminent threat and not a system that I want you to be concerned about any way, shape or form. Keep watching the forecast models. Keep yourself up to date twice a day here on CyclonesOZ. Keep yourself on top of every single BoM update that comes out, and you'll be armed with the best information out there in the meteorology world around Australia ahead of this tropical cyclone. I can assure you of that. But right now, there is no imminent threat to far northern Queensland. The focus is still on the Solomon Islands and then eventually Papua New Guinea. And then after it's done and dusted from Papua New Guinea, we'll have 48 hours to really focus in on what we're going to be looking at here for Queensland. And again, as with all tropical cyclones, they are dominant systems in the atmosphere. They are unpredictable. They slide around, they move around, and particularly when we've got very weak steering flows, like a weak ridge, very weak steering into the mid-levels and the upper levels of the atmosphere. Tropical cyclones can jump north, they can jump south, they can recurve at the last minute. We really don't know, and we're probably not going to know until maybe 24 to 36 hours before landfall. You'll have enough time to prepare, but just make sure that you are generally ready and ship-shape for tropical cyclone activity, which you should be at this time of the year. The garden cleaned up, your emergency supplies on standby, working radio, batteries, for example, but you don't need to go and hoard fuel or groceries or, toilet paper, for example. Just don't panic at this point in time. This is not an imminent threat, and you'll know when it is an imminent threat because my voice will be even faster than this. Can you believe it? Especially if you're a new viewer. We speak quite fast around here. Right, that's the forecast done. Let's get into the nitty-gritty behind this. Really talk about the details here behind severe tropical cyclone Maila. Category 5 status still on the BoM forecast map, but that's going to update in the next hour or so, and I'm expecting to drop down to Category 4 status in line with a recent weakening. We are expecting very dangerous severe tropical cyclone conditions to continue in this red outline over the next 48 hours, which includes parts of the Solomon Islands and much of the southeastern islands of Papua New Guinea. These areas are, for lack of a better term, going to be decimated. We're talking about third world rural population centres through here that don't have cyclone codes like we do up in far northern Queensland. They are going to be, they're really going to feel the brunt of this immensely powerful tropical cyclone. Port Moresby is a little bit further up towards the north, and impacts through Port Moresby are likely to be very minimal, if not none, unless this tropical cyclone takes a ridiculous turn towards the north, which isn't going to happen, plus it wouldn't cross the Owen Stanley Ranges anyway, so Port Moresby in the all clear there. The BoM track, what we do have is a big kind of enlargement of the potential cone kind of uncertainty in the 3 to 5 day forecast period. That means an increase in model uncertainty, so big question marks as to where the tropical cyclone might go. You can still see it could go up to the Torres Strait, likely to be a tropical low if it does go up here, just because vertical wind shear will be quite high. It could also sink well down towards the south, and you can see a couple of these ensemble tracks later are taking this system between Cairns down to Townsville. So Townsville, you might want to keep an eye on the forecast as well, but you should be when you've got a cyclone out to the Coral Sea regardless. But at this point in time, if we were to extrapolate this track here around day 6, just to the south of Cohen, likely as a Category 3 or maybe a very low-end Category 4 strength tropical cyclone. Bottom line, it's still likely to landfall well north of Cairns and still likely to not cause any major problems for the Cassowary Coast or the Cairns area, and potentially for the Daintree rainforest as well. And it's also likely to be weaker than Tropical Cyclone Narelle unless it possibly, and there is the chance that it goes bananas in the northern Coral Sea, because conditions are just very healthy for a tropical cyclone out there. This is a look at our Deepmind forecast ensembles here. We don't have the 0Z update out just yet, which is a little bit strange. Normally by this time we do have the 0Z, which is a very good update. Sometimes the 0Z can, be spot on. I've seen it time and time again on the Deepmind models, but you can see we've got most of our model ensemble members coming through into this part here in line with what BoM is saying, so around the Cohen sort of area. A few of them split up towards the extreme far north of Queensland, so still around the Lockhart River. The big line, the really thick line that kind of runs through them or towards the north of most of those lines, is a little bit overweighed by some of the junk tracks that are moving out here. That's not going to happen. The system isn't going to go up to the equator. Tropical cyclones don't do that, but you can now start to see a couple of these members taking it south as a strong tropical cyclone, as highlighted by those more intense colours south of Cairns down to about Townsville. This is what we have to watch very, very closely, hence the googly eyes on this area. That's going to be a trend that we need to keep close tabs on at this point in time. There is also a signal that this goes into the Gulf of Carpentaria, but a lot of things have to go right for that. First, it can't go too far north as to where it's going to get ripped apart by vertical wind shear, and it can't go too far south as to where it's got too much land to cross through. It really has to take that, central Cape York Peninsula track like Narelle did to be a Gulf of Carpentaria problem, but this isn't really an imminent threat for you guys, and I wouldn't be watching this one as closely as if I was up on far northern Queensland. Right, let's talk about the steering flow. It's important to understand what's actually working behind the models right now, what's actually happening behind the scenes and driving this event. So if we have a look at our current pattern right now, where the tropical cyclone is located, right up on the top part of your screen here in the Solomon Islands, we've got a very large and dominant ridge or area of high pressure, anticyclone here across central parts of Queensland. We've also got weak ridging here, so very weak mid-level high pressure systems around Vanuatu and New Caledonia, and that's generally pushing the system off towards the west, albeit very, very slowly. You can see those blue areas continue to maintain themselves more or less in the same spot. We do get a bit of a stronger ridge developing towards the end of the week over Mackay and Townsville. That's what's actually going to kick this storm into a bit more of a stronger forward motion, so it's going to move a little bit faster as a result of that ridge strengthening and developing, and that ridge is likely to grab it, and that's what's going to push it in towards Queensland. We've also got a little bit of a ridge that's going to develop around the Vanuatu area once again, or redevelop out of the weak one that we've got right now, and that's pretty much going to ensure that it goes into far northern Queensland. There's not much doubt in our minds right now that this system is going to miss far northern Queensland. We reckon it's going to go there at some point. It's just a matter of where it goes and how strong or potentially dangerous it's going to be. Another really good map to have a look at is this one here. This is a look at geopotential height. So when we look at the red colorings like we have, say, over here in the deeper South Pacific or closer to the Central Pacific, plus here over northwestern Queensland, that's strong areas of high pressure, and then the yellows and green colors, and then eventually the blue colors, which you can see around respective tropical cyclones, are our areas of low pressure, and you can see them quite clearly defined as well. So you can see that red area slowly expands across the western side of the screen here over the Northern Territory. That's that ridge that's connected up to the weak fella over here over Vanuatu, and that's going to work to slowly pull this tropical cyclone out towards the west. But you can see, unlike Narelle, where we had a massive expanse of red, we don't really get that here with Maila, and that's why we're actually expecting a somewhat slow track towards Queensland as opposed to a quick rocket into Queensland, and a bit more of an uncertain track forecast as well, compared to the slam dunk that we had with Tropical Cyclone Narelle. Still though, heading towards Queensland, and you can see to kind of seal the deal, the eastern relief is really picking up on this, a very strong ridge developing behind the tropical cyclone that's going to impact, has impacted Fiji and down towards New Zealand now. That's going to kind of seal the deal by pushing the system off towards the west, but we might actually see a bit more of a southwesterly motion if this ridge strengthens even more, and that's where our risk towards Cairns and Townsville begins to intensify here. Not saying it's got to happen. I mean, this is a forecast model simulation, and we're already nearly 5 days out into the future here, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. So, things can go wrong, things can change, and there is at this point in time a little bit of, differences in the major forecast models. The GFS calling for a much weaker, pretty much non-existent ridge at this point in time, and that kind of takes the system a little bit further towards the north. The ECMWF AI forecast modeling systems here, which I don't like because they're precedent-based, and this is, for all intents and purposes, an unprecedented system. You can see just how bad the forecast model is doing with this system so far. Also calls that stronger ridge developing closer to the tropical cyclone, which will accelerate it to Queensland on a much more kind of, advanced timeline, or a much more progressive timeline. One last check of the forecast models is the HAFS-A. This is a really good mesoscale forecast model that we use for tropical cyclones. It did really well with Tropical Cyclone Narelle, and it looks like it's doing once again really well with Maila. You can see that quick weakening as upwelling and wind shear gets to the tropical cyclone in the next kind of 24 to 36 hours or so. It's likely to drop back down to category 3 status in about 36 hours time, and that's represented here on the forecast models. But I do still believe that it's getting a little bit close to Papua New Guinea, and this is kind of the best case scenario for Queensland here. But regardless, and this is why I think the GFS needs to be thrown out into the dumpster, and anyone using the GFS to forecast this tropical cyclone so far, just check their work and cross-reference it with other forecast models. Just saying that as a completely, that's my point of view here, actually does call for some substantial strengthening out into the northern parts of the Coral Sea. And that's because we do, for all intents and purposes, have a very favourable environment out here. I mean, warm sea temperatures, low vertical wind shear, we've got that right down the Coral Sea. So wherever this system does go, it's going to intensify on the run up to Queensland. That's represented in the BoM forecast, it's represented in our high-resolution forecast models. But the GFS, which is a low-resolution model and not ideal for small tropical cyclones like this one, isn't really picking up on it. And again, no fault of the GFS. I mean, at the end of the day, these are supercomputer simulations with different inputs. The GFS just doesn't pick up on these sort of smaller systems as good as what other forecast models like the HAFS-A or the ECMWF has done. I would just like to say, kind of just to wrap the video up right now, that no forecast model has slam dunked this system yet. We've seen lots of different forecasts from different forecast models, and that's mainly because this is an unprecedented system. For the Solomon Sea, this is by far the strongest tropical cyclone that we've seen in this neck of the woods in the history books. And to a degree, when you've got an unprecedentedly strong storm in a certain location, all the forecast models, you just got to throw them out the window to a degree and use your best judgment. And that's where I come in here. I tell you what's going to happen based off my experience in this field, and that's why we've got such a solid track record here at CyclonesOZ in tropical meteorology and tropical cyclone forecasting, particularly for northern Queensland, one of the most difficult places, not just in Australia, but in the world to forecast. We get it right more than most people, apart from BoM. They get it right, a lot of the time, which is why we've looked at the BoM forecast track here, because I really feel like they've, hit the nail on the head with this. But we'll check back in 6 days' time. That will do it for me, though, today. Live coverage likely on Friday and Saturday as the system re-enters the Coral Sea and becomes a much bigger threat to Queensland. We'll have some details then, so stick around for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. And, of course, share this video around. Check out the Facebook page for further updates, too. I thought I said that this is going to be a bit of a shorter update running through things. It's turned out to be probably closer to a 17 or 18-minute update. If that's your cup of tea, then subscribe. But that'll do it for me today. For shorter updates, go over to the Facebook page. I'll catch you on the next storm. Goodbye.